Hi, fifth graders. Today we are going to learn about a really cool street artist named Chris Uphughes. And Chris Uphughes is known for his emotional faces and fruit and fun pop art style.
Today, I would like to introduce to you the pop artist Chris Uphughes. Chris Uphughes is a painter, street artist, and designer living in Brooklyn, New York. He has created a lot of public art in Chicago, New York, and Los Angeles. He received his Bachelor of Fine Arts degree from the Art Institute of Chicago in 1994. Uphughes' paintings and drawings are detailed compositions of stars, flowers, shapes, and cartoon-like faces that are inspired by a range of popular references. This includes art such as Keith Haring's style and even comics from the 1950s and 60s. If you look closely at his work, it's full of wonderful and fantastic surprises. In addition to his thriving street art practice, which includes putting hearts and cute doodle faces on everything from farm silos to city walls, Chris Uphughes also makes little printed goods painted in acrylic. You can find his Beautiful Days project, which he works in collaboration with his wife Jen, online. They want to share their vision of happy with the world and spread optimism to others. You can find fun pop culture products on their Beautiful Days website. Enjoy Chris Uphughes' happy and fun art that will make you laugh and smile for years to come.
So in the video, it talked a lot about Chris Uphughes' style. And the style of an artist is something that you'll hear me talk a lot about in art class. So what is an art style? Art style describes the way the artwork looks. Style is basically the way in which the artist shows his or her subject matter and how the artist expresses his or her vision. Style is determined by the characteristics that describe the artwork, such as the way the artist uses form, color, and composition, to name just a few. Another important factor in determining the style of an artwork is to look at the way the artist handles the medium. That's the materials an artist uses to create their art. How the artist uses the medium can make the artwork look unique, and people can recognize the art as belonging to that particular artist. I'm pretty sure that if I showed you some hearts, like the one to the right, you would be able to really quickly recognize those as being by Chris Uphughes. So for this project, we're going to copy Chris Uphughes' artistic style. To do this, we need to practice. So we're going to spend about 10 minutes today practicing. You will receive a sheet of drawing paper. On the paper, I want you to practice drawing hearts. Practice making them all different sizes. Make some of them fat, skinny, short, and tall. Take your time and work neatly and carefully. Fill both sides of your paper. Now I'm going to take a minute and demonstrate for you what drawing hearts practice really looks like. Now, everyone has their own way of drawing hearts. So whatever way you're comfortable, that's how you should do it. But if you have a little bit of trouble, then you can try to start by doing a bump here, a bump like this. It almost looks like a bird. And then bring those lines down like a piece of pizza. I think that's a little clumsy, but if it helps you practice that way. I like to go like a big letter C on one side and a backwards letter C and connect. Now, what I'd like you to do is practice doing some long ones, some short ones, some really fat ones, and maybe some skinny. The more you practice making your hearts, the better at drawing hearts you're going to be. I'd like you to fill up this side of the paper using your pencil. Try to go fairly big with your hearts because you're going to be drawing faces like Chris Uphughes does inside of the hearts. And then flip your paper over. And I want you to practice some more hearts. But this time when you're practicing, I want you to make some of your hearts overlapping. What does overlapping mean? Overlapping means that one heart is standing in front of another one. It could even be more than one heart standing in front of the other one. If you want to draw light so you can erase, it might be easier to overlap that way, or you can just imagine where that heart would be standing in the background. So fill the page on the back side using different sizes and shapes of hearts, and make sure to make little clusters of overlapping hearts. Okay, I'm going to have your teacher shut off this video for a few minutes while you practice making your hearts. Great job, fifth graders. I can't wait to get back to school and see your hearts. Right now, I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about Chris Uphughes. Chris Uphughes paints lots of murals. A mural is a painting or other work of art that's created directly on a wall. Have any of you ever seen any murals? I bet you have. Chris Uphughes is also known as a street artist because he makes his art in public places, such as on doors of a building or a wall out in the public. He even makes his art on clothing and shoes. In the top right, you can see a photo of him standing in front of one of his murals. Here's another quick video interview with Chris Uphughes.
Hi, I'm Chris Uphughes. We're in Orlando, and I'm making my new mural. It's not finished yet. You can see the flowers aren't done yet, but I'm going to finish those today. I'm working for the last 3 nights here, and we started off by projecting the image onto the wall. Then I traced it out with a pencil, and then we started going in and laying in all of these, the hearts, and then we did the rainbows, but we had to do like 2 or 3 coats for each one. And then once those were up, I drew the faces, and then with black paint, I went in and lined them all out, started putting them in, and then I put in all the little highlights on the tongues. And today, I have to finish these flowers. This is Jen.
Hi. Hello.
This is the woman who runs the show, and this is the man who runs the show. This is Benjamin.
I help fill in all the color, but I can't actually draw anything.
He keeps us on point. Okay, guys, thanks so much. Bye-bye.
I love watching him, and I believe that's his wife and his doggy helper, work on their murals. Here's just a few more examples of Chris Uphughes working on murals and some of his street art. His style is also known as what's called pop art. Pop art is a style of art based on simple, bold images of everyday items, such as soup cans, painted in bright colors. Pop artists created pictures of consumer product labels and packaging, photos of celebrities, comic strips, and animals. So what is pop art?
tomato soup, and comic books. But what do they all have in common? Two little words, pop and art. Pop art is more than an art movement. It's a lifestyle, a craze, a way of looking at the world. But what is pop art? Pop is young, bold, and fun. This is life in the 40s. It's a bit grey. In the 50s, people wanted plastic and glamour. They wanted to have a good time. Buy more, spend more. Don't just watch TV, be on TV. Now you can listen to the Beatles and Elvis, watch cartoons, eat popcorn, drive cars, and become famous. Now it was pop art, all about culture. After all, pop art is popular art, art for all. But who were the pop artists? Richard Hamilton, this guy, said pop art was low cost, young, witty, glamorous, and mass-produced. Hamilton made collages using imagery he found in glossy magazines. Lifting images from films and advertising was completely bonkers at the time. This is one of the famous Marilyn portraits by Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol, this guy. See, a cool guy. For Andy, art was a product, the same as a production line of Coca-Cola bottles or Camel soup. He liked to use bright colours and silk screening techniques to produce art on a huge scale. Pretty clever, I'd say. Pop art was revolutionary! Pop artists were competitive. Who could do what first? Warhol had his advertising. Lichtenstein had his comic books. Palazzi had his collage. And Minnie Mouse. Wait, let's go back to Lichtenstein. He used Band-Aid dots to make his artwork look like comics, like the ones you get in newspapers. Female artists were also rocking the pop art trend. This is The Only Blonde in the World by English painter Pauline Botti. Pauline added fun into her art and was a bit of a rebel. Girl power, Pauline. Pop art came out of the gallery too. Nicola L. took this big red coat around the world to get people to get involved with her performance. This made a real pop crowd, not the celebrity faces in other forms of pop art. Pop art can also be found all over the world. In Iran, Parviz Tanaboli was a sculptor and painter. Like other pop artists, he made his art out of things that looked like they could be thrown away. In New York, Jean-Michel Basquiat remixed it with hip-hop and street art. Pop is on TV, on the radio, and on the internet. Like right now. Does that mean I'm pop art? Well, there's one thing Andy Warhol and I can agree on. I don't know where the artificial stops and the real starts.
Okay, now we are going to practice making some pop art faces on your hearts. At this time, your substitute should hand out this page that has eyes and mouths. On the back side, it has a Chris Uphughes style composition. In the next 10 minutes, I want you to practice drawing eyes and mouths on your hearts. Start with your side that doesn't have the overlapping. If you want another sheet of paper and start fresh, you're welcome to do that also. And what I'd like you to do is pick one set of eyes and draw those on your heart. And then choose a mouth and an expression to go with it. Now, I want you to practice several of these, but you can also be creative and you can make up your own faces. But sometimes it's really nice to have some ideas to get you started. And then once you've practiced, come up with your own ideas. So for the next 10 minutes, I want you to make faces all over your hearts. Great job, fifth graders. I hope you had fun experimenting with lots of different faces and expressions. Now we get to the really important part of the project. This is where we are going to create a composition. A composition means it's the arrangement of objects in a work of art. Now for your composition, I have a few requirements. First of all, you must have a minimum of 5 hearts. No more than 10. That would be your maximum. 3 of the hearts in your composition must overlap. So 3 places you're going to show overlapping. And each heart should have a different face and expression. So what does that look like? Well, here's some examples. In this composition, you can see I have overlapping, overlapping, and just a little bit of overlapping. And I got a little bit creative. I wanted this heart to look like Harry Potter. This heart, I threw on a baseball hat. And then I added in some Chris Uphues style rainbows. When you create a composition, you want to think about balance and placement. Some of my hearts are big, some of them are smaller, and they're spread out evenly around my paper because you're going to use the whole piece of paper. Once you get your composition really well planned out with pencil, then you're going to get a black Sharpie marker. And with that black Sharpie, you're going to outline everything, and especially use it to fill in those black dots inside the eyes. Those really make them pop out. Then, when everything is outlined with the Sharpie, you're going to use the Crayola markers. With the Crayola markers, you're going to add a thick outline inside all of your hearts. So it'll look something like this. You're not going to color them in solid. You're just going to do a nice thick outline. And you can switch colors if you want, like if you want the tongue to be pink and the heart to be purple. When you finish all of the thick outlines, and you have to use the Crayolas because they do a nice job of bleeding, you're going to be getting a clean watercolor brush and water. And with that water, you're just going to paint the marker. And as you get that marker wet, it's going to bleed and add color to your composition. So you're going to end up with a watercolor painting on your Chris Uphues style hearts. Now make sure that you do this on the good paper, really thick paper, so it doesn't get all crumbly when you paint it. Okay, I'm going to just review with you your project requirements and then let you make beautiful things. So first, you need to have a composition. Thinking about the arrangement of objects in your artwork. Here's an example of a really nice dynamic composition. You need to have at least 5 to 10 hearts, and 3 of those hearts must overlap. Each heart should have a different face and expression. Now, I'll be online to answer any of your questions, so let me know if you have any, and I'm excited to see what beautiful things you make.